Stupid bitch! Why did you have to get pregnant?
A 19-year-old Spokane Valley man is in jail tonight facing murder charges in the death of his 33-year-old pregnant girlfriend.
Experts like Judy Burgett of the YWCA say pregnant women are vulnerable targets.
So what we do see that happens when women are pregnant is sometimes the partner feels like he's losing control over her. So we
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Friday's webcast of Alexandra Mayers Live. It is I, your hostess, Alexandra. Tonight, I suppose, will be the first webcast of many that I'm going to umbrella under the title of Alexandra's War on Women series, because there is a war against women. It's not something that's highly talked about in the media. You know, a lot of people want to label women who mention that there's a war against women or a war on women as extreme feminist or, gosh, what's the other word? Feminazi. No, I don't think you have to be a feminist or a womanist or anything to realize and acknowledge and discuss that there's a war on women. Not at all. As a woman, you need to be very aware in regards to certain issues that are not publicized, such as what I'm going to talk about tonight. Tonight's topic is actually going to be murder is one of top causes of death for pregnant women. That's right. Murder is one of the top causes of death for pregnant women. It's a little known fact. It should be something that far more women are aware of. It should be something that really teenagers are taught in high school. It's amazing to me that more women don't know that murder is one of the top causes of death for pregnant women. I suppose what prompted me to even decide to make this the topic of my webcast tonight had to do with a conversation I had a little bit earlier today with someone that I know. We were watching TV and a Lifetime channel commercial came on, and this commercial really disturbed me because it showed different people, you know, just being really violent toward each other. Like they showed an image of a man trying to smother his girlfriend with a pillow. Then they showed an image of a woman holding a knife. Then they showed an image of, I can't remember what the third one was, but then they showed an image of a pregnant woman, and then they showed a video of a woman screaming, "Why did you have to get pregnant?" And it just was so disturbing to me that I was telling the person I was watching TV with, I think it should be illegal to mix the theme of violence with the image of a pregnant woman on TV just so casually, because it might trigger someone to, you know, murder a pregnant person, be it their wife or girlfriend. And the person I was sitting with was, "Oh, that doesn't happen often." And I was like, no, it actually does. Because I remember reading an article about the phenomenon years ago, and it's the article I'm going to read to all of you tonight. Because when I read this article, I was like, wow, you know, I didn't realize that pregnant women were at such a high risk for being murdered. But I thought that maybe I was just one of the last people to know, because often I am the last person to know many things. But I was telling this to the person I was watching TV with, and the person was just astounded. And I showed the person the various articles that I'm going to link to this webcast that are on the internet about this. I mean, these articles are on ABC News. There's a Wikipedia article about it. WebMD has an article about it. WebMD's article is titled, "Number One Cause of Death in Pregnant Women, Murder." So, this is scary to me. This is very scary to me. I mean, I'm not a mother, and this is scary to me. What if I ever decided to be a mother one day? It's crazy, but I do want more women to be aware of this, because I think one of the reasons that we are not aware of it is because there's probably a lot of fairly powerful men who are these murderers. And another thing that came to mind is, I mean, they're saying 20% of the pregnant women who die, they die from being murdered. But the person I was telling this to said something interesting. They said, well, only 20% that are known. It could be a higher number. What about all the murders that never go reported? And it's true, which is way more scary, because that means that in reality, the number is probably closer to 50%. So let me just go ahead and get into reading this article. But women out there, if you're pregnant, be very careful with who you are around, especially if it's a pregnancy that wasn't planned. Be very careful, because I'm thinking that there probably should be far more births every year than there are. All right, this is on abcnews.go.com. Murder is one of top causes of death for pregnant women. This was written June 26, 2007. The recent killing of a 26-year-old Jessie Davis, who was 9 months pregnant, has highlighted what some believe is a terrifying phenomenon. According to a number of studies, homicide is one of the leading causes of death for pregnant women in the United States. Studies in Maryland, New York, and Chicago determine that about 20% of women who die during pregnancy are murder victims. Some states do not even keep track of the number of pregnant women killed by boyfriends or husbands. But the Washington Post identified more than 1,300 during a 14-year period ending in 2004. Several high-profile examples exist. Take the case of Lori Hacking, who was pregnant with her first child when she was killed just after telling her husband, Mark, about the pregnancy. Mark Hacking eventually pleaded guilty to murdering her, admitting that he left her body in the Salt Lake City dump. Then there is Laci Peterson, the California woman who was murdered on Christmas Eve when she was 8 months pregnant. Husband Scott was later convicted of her murder. Why murder rather than divorce? Some question why men don't leave their wives and girlfriends rather than murdering them. Quote, "Men who kill their pregnant wives are always psychopaths," end quote, said criminal profiler Pat Brown. Quote, "She's in the way. I made a mistake and I think I will erase my mistake." So he kills her and he thinks that will solve the problem, end quote. Brown believes if Bobby Cutts Jr., who denies killing Davis, his mistress, is the murderer as charged, then he fits the profile of a psychopath who shows little emotion about the victim. Brown pointed to Cutts' lone media interview when he told a local newspaper how hard the investigation had been on him. Quote, "I haven't been myself," end quote, Cutts said in the interview. Quote, "I can't sleep. I can't eat. This is like the worst. I can't even imagine. I mean, this is like a movie," end quote. While Laci Peterson was still missing, Scott Peterson told Diane Sawyer how difficult it was on him to walk the family dog. Quote, "A lot of times I can't make it very far," end quote, he said at the time. Quote, I make it part of the way. I certainly can't make it to the part of the park where currently there's a big poster of her up, end quote. Brown said these types of men never show much interest in their wives or their unborn children. Quote, they are only complaining about themselves, end quote, she said. The number one risk of death for pregnant women is the normal medical complication of childbearing, followed by traffic accidents, and then homicide. Police often look at spouses as possible suspects right away, and many of these murders are sudden outbursts of violence. Stacey Phillips, a criminal defense attorney specializing in domestic violence, said the pressure of new responsibilities, like a child, can and does erupt into uncontrollable emotions. Quote, when there's a relationship and a tension between two people, when money's at stake, bad things happen, end quote, Phillips said.